you just heard how grant money to the tune of billions of dollars finds its way into the hands of the Chinese. The Biden administration is about to hand $100 billion, that's billion, with a big capital B, $100 billion to an unelected cabinet member to pick winners and losers in the semiconductor and broadband marketplaces. $100 billion. Right now, we have record high inflation, and the spending is driving it. Record high gas prices, and millions of families had to actually write a budget at the kitchen table to afford a Thanksgiving dinner. And to make it worse, on top of that, the railway unions may go on strike just before the holidays. Prices will soar if that happens, and that might be by design. But apparently, the unending multi-trillion-dollar spending programs and so-called Inflation Reduction Act and its effects have not slowed the appetite in Washington to just keep getting the federal government even more entangled in the economy and the market. Semiconductors. If we are going to succeed in the development of future technology, what should be happening is companies should be attracting private investment, people risking their own capital, not making a business plan based on greasing funds out of the government. Now, I don't have any special whiz-bang clips of audio or video to go along with this. All I have is an article from the New York Times, because all of this is tepidly being cheered on by left-wing media. So here we go. Headline New York Times. A rising star in the Biden administration faces a $100 billion test. Quote, the Commerce Department under Raimondo's leadership, that's Gina Raimondo, is now poised to begin distributing nearly $100 billion, roughly 10 times the department's annual budget, to build up the U.S. chip industry and expand broadband access throughout the country. How Raimondo handles that task will have big implications for the U.S. economy going forward. Many view the effort as the best and only bet for the United States to position itself in industries of the future, such as artificial intelligence and supercomputing, and ensure that the country has a secure supply of chips necessary for national security. So let's just stop there. What if she's wrong? Well, I know she went to Harvard and she was the governor of Rhode Island. But what if the metrics that unelected bureaucrats and cabinet members use to make these determinations are all off? What if they're wrong? Remember A123 and Solyndra? We've been down this path before and it cost us. And here we are again with $100 billion on the line. You would think we would be having some national science fair where we would see displays and competitions, people competing to demonstrate the best products and technologies. But no, it continues. Quote, but the risks are similarly huge. Critics of the Biden administration's plans have noticed that the federal government may not be the best judge of which technologies to back. They have warned that if the administration gets it wrong, the United States may surrender its leadership in key technologies for good. The essence of industrial policy is your gambling, said William Wrench, a trade expert at the Center for Strategic and International Studies, a think tank. She's going to be in a tough spot because there will probably be some failures or disappointments along the way, he said. The outcome could also have ramifications for Raimondo's political ambitions. In less than 2 years in Washington, Raimondo, 51, has emerged as one of Biden's most trusted cabinet officials. Company's executives describe her as skillful and charismatic politician who is both engaged and accessible in an administration often known for its skepticism of big business. Okay. So we have one person, not the Congress, not a body of people to the best of our knowledge, who is going to distribute this. And this is about politics, right? I mean, why sell? If you're a company, why would you go out there and try to develop the best product and on the market when you just got to sell it to a government official who isn't spending their own money? In this era of woke and ESG, businesses are actually being encouraged to place efficiency and productivity and even profitability behind virtue signaling and hiring quotas. I mean, what's more important, right? What's more important? That a company actually makes the best semiconductor or has the best broadband, or that it hires the requisite number of biracial, bisexual, non-binary, handicapped vegans. And here we go. Finally, the underlying problem. Raimondo's work has earned her praise from Republicans and Democrats along with labor unions and corporations. Her supporters say she could ascend to another cabinet position, run for the Senate, or perhaps mount a presidential bid. Okay. And there it is. Remember, Pete Buttigieg got an outsized budget as well. It almost sounds like the Democrats are preparing Raimondo and Buttigieg for the next great leap. I mean, let's be honest. It's not going to be Harris. And we don't even know, 2 years is a long time, if Biden has it in him to run again, even if he declares. But you know what? If you take someone like a Gina Raimondo, who seems she's not really, scary. She's not confrontational. She's not controversial. And you give her $100 billion to make relationships, to build a political base, to give a little bit to the unions, some to favorite corporations. You might have somebody that can build support, donations later down the road for a presidential bid. But does that get us the best products in the marketplace? If the government is picking the winner and loser, you essentially have a government monopoly. I refuse to call public education. It's government education, government transportation, government health care. When the government says, trust us to take your tax dollars and we'll grant you high quality education, high quality health care, high quality housing, high quality transportation, if you have nothing to really compare it to, how do you know it's high quality? Because the government puts its seal of approval on it? Well, of course, if the government's providing it like any other provider, even lackluster products claim their product is the best in the marketplace. It's when people try it out, when it performs, that we see if it's the best against other competitors. But you don't get that when the government monopolizes things. You get the seen versus the unseen. If the government were to run, let's say, the brewing industry, and they said, this is the national and best tasting beer, if there was no other beer to taste in a blind taste test, you'd have to go, well, that is the best tasting beer because it's the only beer I know. Same for any other product in the marketplace. Competition, free and open competition makes products better. But when you put bureaucrats in charge, when you put politicians in charge, you get what amounts to the Venezuelan oil industry. The Venezuelan oil industry was partially nationalized until, well, Hugo Chavez came along and said, I don't want any of these private sector people running this stuff. I'm going to put my political appointees in place. And then the Venezuelan oil industry went in the downward spiral. So what happens here when someone like Gina Raimondo gets in charge? Well, if she's trying to build a political base, she's going to have to start putting high-powered Democrats, or at least their family members, on the boards of directors of these companies. Now, she might not do it personally, but they all know how they get the money. They don't get the money by making the best product. Again, woke and ESG. Efficiency, productivity, and profitability take a backseat to politics and political considerations. So on one side, you will see sons, daughters, nieces, nephews, aunts, uncles, whoever, of prominent Democrats getting on the boards of directors. Think Burisma and Hunter Biden. Then you'll start seeing virtue signaling. This company is going to be as proud of its environmental record. This person, this organization, this business hired the requisite number of transgender people or biracial people or non-binary sectarian, non-binary vegans or whatever it is. They won't be promoting the best product. What they'll be doing is using the government to clear the field of their competition. They'll be at the seat at the table when they make the regulations that create barriers to entry. All of this managed by one unelected person named Gina Raimondo. Then you have to ask yourself, with the billions of dollars that disappeared overnight during COVID, went to foreign aid and even to China, as we see lots of our oil from the Strategic Petroleum Reserve going to China, how much of this technological research, these grants, will end up benefiting China? It's going to be a lot of it. This is not only a big risk, the downside is a disaster. And I gotta be honest with you, I don't have good a good feeling about this.